Historian Rick Atkinson and America's Book Club host David Rubenstein viewed artifacts inside the vault of the National Archives.
Okay.
Here we are in the vault of the National Archives. What are we going to see?
So I've got a few things out to show you. So I'm going to start with in the time period you just wrote about in the second volume. So 1777, 1778. So we're going to start at 1778. So the Continental Congress in February 1778 passed a resolution. They wanted army officers to sign an oath of allegiance to the former United States.
Yes.
Still have oaths today. If you're in the military, politician on the Hill, federal government employee. Our first day, we signed a lot of paperwork, get fingerprinted, raise our hand. Oath today centers around the Constitution. This obviously predates the Constitution.
Yeah.
The concept's the same, but the words are very different.
Yeah.
So they passed it in February. They expect Washington to have these signed by officers in February. So it's part of the resolution.
He's at Valley Forge.
They're at Valley Forge,
Yeah.
right. So they expect them to do it. That's the expectation soon after they pass it. And it has to be witnessed and signed by the commander-in-chief, so either Washington or Major General Brigadier General.
What is the document?
So oath of allegiance.
Oh, the Oath of Allegiance. Okay.
Swearing oath of allegiance to the United States, the former United States. And so Washington kind of slow rolls it, and it's not until May because he's getting all this pressure from Congress, like you need to do this.
Yeah.
And then finally kind of admits that, things weren't great in February, so I waited to do these. So as an example, I've got Baron von Steuben. You can come around. I got Baron von Steuben's oath of allegiance. So it has Baron von Steuben, General, Major General, and Inspector General of the Army, to acknowledge the United States of America to be free, independent, sovereign states, declare the people thereof of no allegiance or obedience to George III, King of Great Britain. So right off the bat, very different than oath today.
And of course, Steuben doesn't speak a word of English, so he doesn't understand this.
So, and then they had to pick a word, swear or affirm. So there's a few religious groups. There's a passage in Matthew in the Bible they take very literally. They can't swear unto God. So they affirmed, he swore. Said that do the utmost in their power to support, maintain, and defend the said United States against the said King George III, his heirs and successors, and his or their better. So the whole royal family was covered. Signed by von Steuben, and then it has sworn before me, camp at Valley Forge, May 12, 1778, and then George Washington witnesses.
So these are originals. These are the signatures.
They are. Everything you're going to see here
is an original.
Are original.
And you know who else signed the same time?
Benedict Arnold.
Benedict Arnold. Yeah.
We have his, but it's out for A250 right now. And we also have Washington's. His is also out for A250. So, they're slowly going out for various exhibits. Some of them are, some of them other institutions.
Couldn't speak English. How did he communicate?
He spoke French. And he would swear at the soldiers. He was the Inspector General. He was teaching them how to march and how to retreat in an orderly fashion. And he would swear at them in German, and then he'd swear at them in French. And he'd call his aide who could speak English, and he would say, "Come over here and swear at them in English for me." He was the only word that he knew in English when he first arrived at Valley Forge. Goddamn.
Well, okay. And why did he get kicked out of Germany?
Don't
go into that.
Yeah, there were reports that he had taken liberties with young boys.
Right.
So that's not confirmed. It's an accusation. It was never repeated here that I'm aware of. So,
all right.
And then next we have, so these are from the papers of the Continental Congress. This is his commission literally a week before, because as you know, he was kind of acting as a volunteer, not getting paid, no rank.
Right.
Originally, when he was drilling everybody at Valley Forge, and so eventually, Washington convinced the Congress to approve him as a Major General, Inspector General. So this is his commission from the Congress, exactly like I said, Inspector General, Major General, and then down here, 5th of May, 1778, and then signed by the President, Henry Laurens, and then attesting as the Secretary is Charles Thompson.
Down here.
Well, he showed up at Valley Forge, having come through via France, and he has on a brilliant red uniform because he has been told in France that the national colors for American uniforms are crimson. The first thing he has to do when he gets to Valley Forge is find a dyer.
Right, who changed color. Right.
Well, that's something. And you can see that he's made himself invaluable by May. He arrives, I think, in February. And Washington recognizes right away that even though he's a fraud, he claims to be a lieutenant general. in the Prussian army. He claims to have been a close aide to Frederick the Great. He's none of those things. He is a baron, but it's service to a minor princeling in Germany. And Franklin has conspired in this fraud, boosting his CV, really. And Washington eventually finds out. Steuben confesses that he's not really a lieutenant general. He was a captain. But by that point, he has proven himself to be a real military man and a valuable asset to the Continental Army.
Well, the French general that came over wasn't a general either, was he?
Lafayette?
Yeah.
No, he was a captain in the French army.
Yeah.
Very little military experience. But
didn't he insist? Didn't they call him a general? Did they give him a title here?
He was a major general. The Continental Congress gave him a 19-year-old major general. And he turned out to be a real general. He was, brave on the battlefield. He was wounded at Brandywine right away.
Okay.
So there were a lot of soldiers of fortune coming. Most of them were worthless. Most of them didn't speak English. But a few of them, like Steuben, like Lafayette, were absolutely vital to the cause.
And then we put them on our payroll?
Steuben eventually collected a major general's pay. Lafayette, no. He's one of the richest boys in France. Washington was not being paid, only his expenses, which turned out to be considerable.
I know.
He kept track of every penny. But yes, for most of them who were in the Army, there were former British Army officers, like Richard Montgomery, who led the invasion of Canada in 1775. He'd been a major in the British Army, emigrated here, made a brigadier general in the continent. They're paid like, the dollar is increasingly worthless. So that's a perpetual problem.
Wow.
And then jumping back
Not
to
worth
1777.
not worth a continental, right?
Yeah, right. That's the phrase.
So jumping back to 1777. So you wrote, about the Battle of Saratoga.
Yeah.
So this is related to the surrender at convention
Who writes this?
Of Saratoga. So this is from General Gates to the Congress, basically saying, what's happened at Saratoga, and then enclosing a copy of the Articles of Convention that was done between him and General Burgoyne. And so these are the Articles of Convention that were agreed upon.
Fantastic. And this is very controversial because he basically has given the British a pass. They're allowed to, and Congress refuses to go along with it ultimately. Burgoyne is allowed to go back to England, but nobody else, and they end up, in prison camps in Charlottesville.
I mean, that's so it has all the articles of Convention listed out.
That copper plate script.
Yeah. So October 16th, and then the ceremony would be, as you know, the next day on the 17th.
How come their handwriting was so perfect?
They usually have an aide. The handwriting is not perfect of many of the officers, obviously, but they usually have an aide whose handwriting is legible. Thank goodness.
All right.
And then moving on here. So this is one of the first two treaties between us and France during the Revolution. So this is the Treaty of Alliance.
Wow.
That was done, as you know, the same day as the Treaty of Amity and Commerce. So this is the military side of it, with the alliance with France saying that they'll come and help us militarily. And then, so we have two types of treaties. We have what are called American originals that are pre-ratification. They'll have the signatures of both representatives of the country. Later, after each country ratifies, they'll then exchange the treaties. That'll just have the signature of the other nation, and they'll literally exchange it with each nation. So this is what we call the American original, because it has the French representative with Girard, and then Benjamin representing the U.S., Benjamin Franklin, Silas Deane, and Arthur Lee.
Yeah.
Which is all done.
Wow.
In Paris.
Well, this is the most important thing to happen in the Revolution.
And it's side by side, as you can see. It's English and French, literally side by side. And then there's another page under here.
But this is not the Treaty of Paris.
No, that's 1783. Right. This is the treaty that Franklin has been working towards from his arrival in France in December of 1776, trying to persuade the Roman Catholic absolute monarch Louis XVI to not just provide clandestine munitions and some money and muskets and so on, but to really provide complete support, a navy, an army. And so this is the beginning of that next step to a full alliance.
So this is February 6, 1778 is when, is when this.
And this word of this reaches Washington at Valley Forge. There's a huge celebration at Valley Forge because they know this is a game changer.
Oh, okay.
So this one is comes with a warning because you haven't done volume 3 yet. So this is a spoiler alert for your readers. That,
all right.
We're going to win the war.
Now you ruined it.
So
now I don't have to write that.
You don't have to write it.
Yeah.
This is your ending right here. So this is the Treaty of Paris.
Oh my goodness.
I just mentioned. So September 1783 is when it was signed by both countries. This is the exchange treaty that I mentioned that would come later. So we ratified in January 1784. They ratified a few months later, and then they exchanged April. England.
But how many copies does the U.S. government have? One? It's the only one we have.
Because this is the exchange. So we gave them the copy that has our signatures. So we got theirs.
And so this was the Treaty of Paris. I thought the war ended in 1783.
So it did. So that's what was signed in September, but it wasn't ratified.
Ratified.
It wasn't ratified yet. So this is after England ratified.
What is this?
So this is what we call the skip it. So this is what came to us, and this was the system that was being used at the time with exchange treaties, where it would have typically tassels and twine of the color of that country, so Great Britain. And then the way it worked is the twine would come in what's called a skip it, which is this piece right here. Don't ask me why, that's just what it's called. The cover comes off. This is all one piece of twine connected. It would come in, they'd loop it around, pour hot wax, put your country seal, put the cover on, it would come out the side, and then it's literally sewn into, becoming part of the treaty.
Wow.
So this is all one piece that's connected.
Wow.
It's on parchment. So the first page is all the various titles of George III, King of Great Britain, saying how he's over almost the entire world.
Does not say loser.
It says by the grace, that's on the last page. It has by the grace of God and how he's over all these different, geographic locations across the world. And then has all the articles that were agreed upon in September. And then because it's an exchange treaty, it has the signatures of that country. So this is George III's signature.
George R.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. So the war ends militarily really at Yorktown, which is October 1781, but it takes 2 years
to negotiate
to get this, partly because it's not just between us and the Brits. The French are involved, the Dutch are involved. These separate negotiations are going on. It's pretty complex. A lot of the issue at hand is whether or not the Americans are going to be permitted to claim all the territory to the Mississippi River.
Right.
The French are against that. The Spanish are definitely against that. And the Brits finally accede to that demand. Spanish don't want us, the Spanish are in New Orleans at the time, they don't want us out there giving ideas of revolution to their colonies in Central and South America.
Okay.
That is fabulous.
All right, there it is.
So like I said, it's all on parchment, so it's all on animal skin, and then ended, like we said, ended the American Revolution.
Did anybody check this out if they want to take this home or something?
No.
This is here, safe.
It always remains here, unless it goes on display. So I know you've written a few things on West Point. So this is West Point related. So this is from 1856. This is a congressman in Ohio. Jefferson Davis happens to be Secretary of War at the time, ironically. So it's to the Secretary of War, and he's recommending George A. Custer to the military academy at West Point. So being the government, they sent a form letter to the Custer family to fill out. So this is George Custer's very flamboyant signature here in 1857. Since he was under 21, a parent or a guardian had to sign. So this is his dad's signature down here, showing how the form didn't change much. Someone else that you know well. So this is 1910. Dwight Eisenhower accepting his acceptance.
Fantastic.
At West Point, or appointment rather. And then his dad, same thing. I'm signing for my son Dwight. And then his dad's
fabulous
signature.
Of course, Custer graduates last in his class. Jefferson Davis was a West Point graduate. He graduates kind of in the middle of his class, but he's going to West Point not because he wants to be Napoleon, but because it's free. That's fantastic. Huh.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost the exact same form, 1857.
Well, that's West Point for you. Yeah.
And then I know you've written a few things on Arlington National Cemetery. So This one is related to William Chrisman, who was the first military burial at Arlington
Yes,
Cemetery.
he was 1864.
Yep, and he'd only been in for like a month and a half.
Yeah.
So he's from Pennsylvania. This is his enlistment paper in March, like the end of March, 1864. And then he died May 11th and then was buried at Arlington May 13th, 1864 of a camp disease.
Yeah, probably typhus.
So this is periodontitis. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Periodontitis.
yeah, that's right. So you know, David, that when Chrisman died and they interred him there, the objective was to be sure the Lees could never come back to claim that.
Because they wouldn't want to have a cemetery in their front yard.
They didn't want to have a cemetery in the front yard. And it was a big cemetery.
But they ultimately got it back.
They did, but they didn't.
They sold it.
They did. Yeah.
So he's buried down the hill from the mansion.
Yep.
And so that's the famous story when Miggs goes to see like where the burials are, and he's wondering why they're so far from the house. He gets really upset because, as you know, his son died recently. And he's like, the officers are like, well, we're staying in the house. And so he's like, no, I want them in Mrs. Lee's garden. And that's why when you go, you see those headstones, like literally right next to
Miggs's
the garden.
son, who was ambushed in the Shenandoah Valley and killed, and Miggs was originally from Georgia. And he is buried near the house, and so is General Miggs after he died.
So this is also related. So if you were a mother whose son was single and died during the Civil War, if you could prove that he was somehow financially supporting you, then you could put in a claim for a pension for the Civil War. So this is, we don't have a lot of personal letter from the Civil War, but this is how they kind of end up in our custody. This is William Chrisman's mom, who submitted a personal letter that he wrote from a camp in Philadelphia in April. And, basically typical letter, my dear mother, I'm just letting you know I'm doing really well, and some different information to his father. And then his signature, the signature down here. So she submitted this to the government as part of her pension.
So this is a month before he dies.
Yes.
I'm fine.
Yep. Yeah. No, he says I'm fine and very well. Yeah. Yep. I'm well at this present time. Yep.
All these years later, it's still heartbreaking.
The last thing I have for you. So this is another writer. So this is the court-martial trial of Cadet Edgar Allan Poe at West Point. So as you know, like his foster father wouldn't let him, because not only did you need parental permission to get into West Point, you had to have parental permission to leave early if you were trying to get out.
Yeah.
And his foster father refused, and so he started kind of acting out and stopped showing up to class and like doing things on purpose. And so this is the trial that was ordered at the end of 1830 that would take place in the end of January.
Well, he got thrown out.
He got thrown out.
Baltimore guy did.
I know.
These are the charges and specifications against him. And so it's has the first one is gross neglect of duty as the first charge, and has several specifications. And it lists like all the dates that he's missing, showing up on the drill parade, or like, missing mathematics classes. And this is just within January. Like it's just multiple days that he's missing all the things he should be going to. And then the second charge is disobeying orders. So he's being ordered to go to the parade ground and he keeps not showing up. And so eventually, they'll hear from other cadets on whether he was showing up or whether he was at the academy during that period. And then you get to the sentence as guilty. First specification, the first charge, basically it ends up with dismissal the service of the United States.
He saved the Army a lot of trouble by getting himself kicked out. So when
so 7 months. So he goes in the summer of 1830. This trial happens the end of January 1831.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. That's
my pleasure.
Yeah, that's everything you would hope for in the nation's vault.
All right. Very impressive. Thank you.
Thank you.